Okay, Robin has been recording, so I will officially call this meeting to order. Thanks everyone for attending. First up on the agenda is the approval of consent agenda items. I know they were all in Avenda. I assume they're all attached here. Anything you need to go over the stuff before?
Nothing major. There was one wonky percentage on one of the statistics pages. If you printed it off the Avenda, it's at the bottom of page 12. It's the October statistical report, the second page. At the very bottom, total programs, it says minus 100%. It's actually positive 87%. And Sharon Bruni was very upset that you would think that we had a huge drop in attendance when actually we had a significant gain. So she wanted to make sure to mention that to you. I'm not going to go through the financial statements unless anyone has questions, but we're right on track for where we should be at the end of the year. 10 months out of 12 is 83%, and that's right where we're at as far as expenditures. So there are no concerns there. Our gift funds, we've received more than we've spent. I'm sure next year that will change, as you're about to hear. And there is a confirmation of the approval for the library tents that we've purchased. They are not the tents that are behind me that are dirty and old, so don't think that. There's the Love Your Library Month tally, just so that you know what we raised this year and how much we were given for our match, which was $10,820 in addition to the money that was raised. And you can see what all the other libraries were able to do as well. And then the last thing is something that I just have to give you every year to let you know that I've submitted our plan for the use of state funds, and we just always say that we're using it for the collection. So nothing real earth shaking here, but there's a lot of stuff. So I wanted to make sure you knew what it all was. Oh, and looks like Anne is maybe on now. Yes.
Where is the 10,000 on the Love Your Library page?
There is a spreadsheet with a highlight.
Oh.
And it's the yellow column 2024 allocated match.
Yeah, that's where I was.
Yeah, so they matched 20 cents on the dollar this year. And there's a little, on the next page, you can see what they matched every year, the amount. And basically, we're raising so much money that the money they're providing for us is going.
Okay, I see. So 59K is what we raised. 10.8 is what they managed.
Yes.
And that's an improvement on last year.
Yes, it was an excellent month for us.
Okay.
So that's all for the consent agenda items.
And then being that those tents back there are the bane of my existence, remind me again, how many new ones did we order?
Jeremy?
We ordered 3 new ones to replace some of the broken ones, but then add to that. And I actually will most likely get some parts and maybe a new frame that we can actually augment what we have, but I need to fix a couple of the ones that we have. But we ordered 3 brand new ones, and that was part of the authorization.
Okay, so the old ones were not immediately taking and destroying with baseball bats.
They were not.
Because I was rooting for that.
Some of them looked like.
I mean, you are the board president, so if that's what you
if you want them
decide.
shipped to your house,
office
like,
space. I was just to say the copy machine and the office space. That's what I was.
But with the new ones, and once I get a chance to repair the other ones, they will be much smoother, easier to put up.
3 is good.
Yeah.
Okay, does anybody have any questions about any of the other consent agenda items or questions for Robin? Can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second. Holiday seconds. Everyone in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Okay. Can move on to comments from observers. It doesn't, you guys are official. You don't count. You're officially on the agenda. I don't think we have any observers here. I assume there's none online.
I've received no comments.
Okay,
There's nobody else
move
online.
past that, which brings us to our official observers and friends. The people from Draw Collective, representatives from Draw Collective. So the floor is yours.
All right. Well, I'm Amy George with Draw Collective.
And Chris Brown.
So we're an architecture firm. We're right up the street. We're on Washington Road as well. So we walked here. And we wanted to take a moment to talk to you about the space planning that we've been doing for our library. And talk to you a little bit about what process that we have taken and where we currently are. And so you can understand how everyone has kind of arrived at some of the decisions that have been made. So when we started the process, we met with the library and they talked to us about what their overall mission for the library is and some overall goals and how the facility can really underline your overall mission. We talked a lot about making this space more of an active, engaged space, safe and welcoming and more accessible for residents. And really just make sure that the library is a space where everyone in the community can go and you have, it facilitates a joy of learning. So taking a step back from a facility perspective, we always talk about like, well, how can we actually do that through your facility? So we extensively toured your facility and we actually mapped out all of your shelving, where each section of the library is, and we have like a Revit BIM model of that. So we can easily be able to manipulate the shelves to kind of show like how the collection would move. So while we were doing that, we also were able to see that there are some accessibility challenges within the space. So your restrooms are not accessible to the current code. I'm sure they were when they were built, but they are no longer considered accessible. I think it's mostly like the sink protrudes.
Sink protrudes, the amount you need for like turning circle has changed a little bit, so like they're not horrible, but they're really not meeting where the current standards are.
Yes. And outside of ADA issues, your reference desk, especially the children's reference desk, there's a lack of visibility. So if the reference librarians are there, they're not able, especially in the children's, to see like what is going on to all the different patrons of the library. And patrons are not able to be easily greeted at the children's library. You don't have that problem in the main library, but you do have some visibility challenges from that desk. In the library, you have these amazing access to daylight and views, but based on the way that the shelving is set up, some of that daylight, it's just being stopped by the shelves. So we're noticing that, especially down in the fiction area where the ceiling gets lower, it's pretty dark back there. But you know, we just immediately thought that it doesn't have to be like this. Like we can manipulate the shelving and really use the assets that you already have there to allow daylight into the space. So we talked about all of this with the library, and we also talked about all of the things that we noticed architecturally that are really wonderful. Your outdoor garden space is really beautiful. You have the great amount of lighting from two sides, but also I should share, we are both residents of Lebo, but I had never gone to the restroom on the adult side. And when I walked back there, I did not realize that you have that little view of the garden back there. And I was like, oh.
It's right there.
It's right there. I see it on the children's side, but you know, this is where the light, you know, we're blocking all of this light. You have such high ceilings, beautiful wood ceilings. So, you know, it's, I think making changes to the library is a great opportunity. I mean, there's a lot of potential here. It already is a wonderful space, but I think we can make some changes to kind of increase the efficiency of the space, and it'll just become, you know, even lovelier. So when we were meeting with the library team, we talked about how they saw some different solutions. We discussed some different solutions, and one of the things that we talked about is decreasing the volume, the collection a little bit. So we set the goal at 10% for both the adult section and the children's section. And by reducing the collection, you are able to potentially lower shelves a little bit and not have such a high density of shelving so that people can see, like, you can potentially see over some shelves, or you can create a wider distance between shelves. So for example, if you are back in the fiction area, there is only 3 feet from shelf to shelf. And then there are step stools there. So if you were in a wheelchair, you would not be able to physically maneuver back there. And you definitely wouldn't be able to maneuver if somebody is standing on a step stool. So really, you know, using that by reducing the collection, creating an opportunity to kind of widen that space and potentially lower shelves where we can.
Yeah, the trade-off is really, I mean, I know nobody likes to kind of think about getting rid of books, but the trade-off is really increasing the accessibility of your whole collection in the sense of like the new way in a wheelchair or something, but also in the sense of just visually being able to see it, being able to understand where things are and navigate it. Like it really kind of opens it up and makes it an easier place to go find books and find books you weren't even looking for as you kind of.
And I might add that number was arrived at through conversations with Sharon Bruni, who manages our collection, and those were the numbers she was looking at anyways in her big collection management project that she's working on now. So the motivation wasn't specifically to, you know, move the shelves around. It just happened to work out that
Draw is not telling us to get rid of
their
them.
number.
Yeah, we were deciding to get rid of
right, that
books
their numbers
anyway.
matched what was acceptable and what
Yes.
they were planning to do over a
Yeah,
period of
we're trying
time.
to take advantage of that.
In our
That
collection.
reduction allows us to do some things that will help open up the whole.
And then that was sort of the negotiation that we're having. So, you know, Draw will come to us, say, you do 12%, here's what you can do. Or if we say, no, we only want to get rid, you know, we only need to reduce the collection by 8%, then here's the adjustments we have to make. So that's sort of an
And
ongoing
Sharon's been
negotiation.
working on weeding the adult side for the better part of a year, maybe more. The children's side desperately needs weeded. If you've ever been in there trying to look at books with the little ones, the shelves are just crammed full. Like there's no room for display, there's no room to add new books, there's no room for movement. So it's something that we desperately need to do anyway.
So that's 10% from adult and 10% from child, not 10% total. Okay.
And from the children's section, we wanted to show an example of if you reduced even further, what would happen with sight lines, and we put even like a child in the model. But what we learned was that because a lot of the books are displayed on the top of the shelves, that you're really not going to be able to see. I was hoping that if you're standing at like the check-in desk in the children's library, that we could potentially like get a view where you could see over and just see like the top of a head maneuvering, but that wasn't something that would be possible without a massive reduction. We also talked a lot about creating neighborhoods of books and planning those out so that you can kind of create smaller, essentially like rooms without walls, like utilizing the bookshelves to kind of create nooks in the library itself. So you can have sort of a place where you can be in the library, you can have a sense that you're alone, but you're still out in the open. So we looked at utilizing the shelving to kind of create those neighborhoods, but also being careful that if I'm studying by a bookshelf, that there's still at least 4 feet for somebody else to walk beside me, so it doesn't feel like they're interrupting me. So we're taking into account all those things. And then we also created display. We're working on creating a display area built around the columns. So as you look at the library up there, you'll see the repetition of columns, building out some custom bookshelves. So you can have some bookshelves on one side and then some flat display areas, with the thought that if you continue the displays and filter them throughout the library, it will encourage patrons to really not just stay up by the window area and by the reception desk, that they'll browse kind of and browse through the library. We can actually pull up the plan so I can talk to you about some of this stuff.
Let's see.
Yeah.
Anthony, Anne, can you see that?
Yes, I can, thanks.
Okay.
Yes, I
So-
can see it.
Okay, so if you see,
You'll have this in your packet as well.
yeah. So we have coming down here, the ramp down to the children's area, and we'll talk about that separately in a moment. But the first thing you'll notice is that we created some more, well, it's hard to see on the plan, but we're working on creating some more visibility in this area so that the children's area is easier to spot when you're coming down the ramp. So we looked at having an entrance to the children's area over here, but we ultimately came around to that the area that the children's entrance can be, or should be, is where it is currently, but we can make some easy architectural changes. So as you're coming down that ramp, you're able to see that something is coming up and you're not making that quick turn. We changed the orientation here of this center, kind of this center spine here, and it is on an angle, but we created some more efficiency in the space, and that allows us to have more linear feet of bookshelves up against the wall, and that's really where you can get a large volume of books, as if they're just, you know, up against the wall there. And reconfigured the different office areas of the children's area and then an office of the main library. And then we pushed all of the bathrooms into one core. So you have access to 2 restrooms on the adult side, and you have access to 2 restrooms on the children's side. So that saves on some efficiency of planning, and the plumbing is right there. But what it really allows by not having the bathrooms here is we have opened up this area here where your garden is, and you could have the opportunity to put large windows there and have a great view into the garden. We put a double glass door here, but you could really kind of in the summer create a true like indoor outdoor space, or an area where people felt like they're able to more comfortably or feel more confident that they are supposed to go into the garden, and that is an extension of the library there. This is also where your ceiling is the lowest. So by getting that natural light in there, it really is gonna make that area feel brighter, more open. We've reconfigured the shelving here. So this is the nonfiction area. We kept the teen area the same here. But you can see, these are those neighborhoods that I was talking about where we've used some shelving to kind of create smaller rooms so that, you know, we can create different types of study areas. I mean, we put tables in here, but you could easily put them with lounge chairs or, you know, anything that you want to see there. And these areas could be rotated out. So if in 10 years, if there's a new type of technology, or if you wanted to have a little maker studio or something, you know, it's hard to say like what will be next, but you could easily plug them into a spot like that. These are the display areas here. Right now you have those low counters, and that prevents people from walking through the space. Right now with the low counters between them, you kind of only access the space in these 3 corridors, but by opening up those areas and creating these display moments, our hope is that people are actually crossing through and exploring more of the library as opposed to just going where they know. And then we actually turned the shelves here in the fiction area, which is where you have the higher shelves there. And this will allow, our hope is that, and we will model all of this. We already actually have it built, but we'll show you at the next meeting where you can be able to see how light will travel through this space. So we can see what will come here, but also what will come here, you know, and just to kind of create a more open space there. And then moving into the children's area. So we were looking at putting some glazing in this area here so that you're able to see into the children's area. And then I think it was Sharon's idea about opening up the glass to the office, because this is actually where you have the book drop. So you can like put the book on and, you know, see it kind of get sorted. But the idea would be that this would be all glass so that as you're coming down here and creating some punch outs here, people are able to see into the children's library. So you know that the children's library is coming up. And then you'll see on the next slide, but there, we put in like a ceiling element here that will come up to kind of capture your attention. We relocated the circulation desk. It pairs up with the children's office there, but this way, anyone that comes into the library the children's library is greeted. So you're able to track exactly who has come into this space and you're at least aware of them. Or if they are a runner, they're hopefully able to be stopped, or somebody sees them leaving. And then we played around with some reconfiguration of how the different shelves lay out and kind of tried to break up some areas here. One thing that you'll notice is the children's playroom. We tried an option where it was here and here. And ultimately, we came back to here, and we've actually added a change here where this will be a garage door. We chose to keep it by the garden area with the hope that the children can play, they can see the access to the greenery. You know, this will be glass here, for your second exit out of the children's library. You can have a glass area. So it really creates the space look more like one in that area. And it will increase the confidence that, you know, we are supposed to go outside or that sort of thing. So the next slide is just a quick, it's just a quick sketch of, we have not started to talk about aesthetics. So we started putting our own ideas on here, but I wanted to show it to you guys before we get some ideas of how we want the library to look aesthetically. But you know, here's your ramp coming down here, and here's how we've opened it up there. So you can already see like the transparency that you would gain there, but also this is the ceiling element that I was referring to earlier. So you would actually see if you're coming down this ramp, you'll be able to see that there is a children's entrance there, and through signage and stuff, we can make that a little bit more clear. You know, that way people are aware of where it is. It doesn't feel like an afterthought or, you know, kind of like this back corridor, that it really does feel like a celebrated entrance to the library.
One of the terms that they introduced me to that I really appreciated that you read, I was impressed how you were put this over here, was this idea of a decision point. So right now, when you come down the end of that ramp, you can see the children's entrance, you can see the circulation desk, you can see the reference desk, and then decide where you're going from there. Right now, you kind of have to know the children's library is back there to get there. You have to know how to navigate to certain places.
It's one of the questions the librarians are most frequently asked. Where's the children's
Right.
library? How do you get in there?
Right.
Because
So,
the entrances are so.
and so you can see in this drawing, even though you can sort of get all of the perspectives, that when you get arrive at the end of the ramp, you can see the children's library, you can see the book drop, you'll see the self-checks, you'll see the circulation desk and the reference desk, which basically encompasses most of what you'd be doing at the library. So I'm really impressed that you guys were able to move that decision point over to that area.
And you'll also be able to see it if you access the library from the steps. So as you come up those steps, you have a similar area where you're like, okay, I understand where I'm going at this point if you're a first time user. So our next steps, we are working on, we have the layout in a pretty good place, and we're going to keep refining those things to make sure things work, as well as, we think we do. We have it kind of like, as you saw, we have it space planned out, but we want to make sure we have encompass everything that the library really needs. Like, do we have adequate storage? All the back end uses for stuff like that. And then really we're gonna start talking about, I hesitate to say aesthetics, but it's really just like how you want folks to feel in the library, and how we can use different materials, different lighting, what the library will look like at night. It has a great view. You have all these windows, like if you're outside on the street, what can you see in those sorts of things for you, and how we can plan those things so that in 15 or 20 years, when you make another update, what elements are we putting in place so that it can be easily updated or changed, like signage and those sorts of things. We're always trying to plan for, so that if, I don't know, e-sport, there's always like something that's like bubbling out there that when it comes along, we want to make sure that we have provided you with an opportunity to make it work for the community.
Can I comment?
Sure, Anne.
Sorry, I'm sorry, they won't let me access my camera, which might be a saving grace for all of you, because I've had several really long days. And I'm sure
No.
the circles under my eyes will show it, but I
think
really love this. There's several things I really wanted to make note of. One is the daylighting. I think the daylighting is just absolutely essential. I'm very glad, oh, there we go. And starting my video, gosh. And that we have made the bathrooms more accessible. As a parent of, well, she's no longer a child, but a child using a wheelchair, huge, just gigantic. Used to come to the library after school all the time, Robin, but she was one of the paved ones. I'm sure of it. Anyway, I do love the daylighting. I love the emphasis on adaptation, because I think that you're right, that what our needs are will change over years. And it's impossible to predict the future. And so having the library be as adaptive as possible to our changing needs is huge. It's just really gigantic. Bringing the outside in, that courtyard is really a wonderful spot. And are you putting garage doors on that back wall with in the children's library with I couldn't see, you were pointing and it didn't show up on my screen, so I apologize.
Inside the children's library. So the idea would be that the children's room, the
Story time room.
story time room.
Yeah.
Right now, is just 4 walls, the door is shut if it's not in use, and I'm sure patrons who come here a lot feel comfortable using that, but you may not know or feel like you have permission to use it.
Right.
But you could actually, when it's not in use, open it up through a garage door, and now you've really expanded the area of the story time room or the play space, or you could host larger groups in that area. So it's really just a flexible point.
That also goes along with kind of opening out that area that right now is shelving up against the windows, but making that a more expansive area there too.
Yeah, and it doesn't necessarily have to be a garage door. There are a lot of different versions of folding glass walls.
Sure. I know. I think that's huge. I mean, I think, I'm all for letting the daylight in as much as possible. I think that's just gigantic. It has been shown through studies, and you guys know this as architects, it's been shown through studies that children's learning improves when they are in daylit spaces. It's just, I'm sure it's true for adults too. So I love it. I'm delighted. Thank you.
Thank you.
I think it's great. I'm in the middle of a kitchen renovation, so I'm like, they just knocked down a wall today and it's like, let there be light. And so that's all I could think of when you were doing, like how that tiny little impact in my tiny little house. And this it does, and we've been working in our lower basement while they're doing this. And it's like, you have no idea what time it is. And you come out and you're like, oh, okay, it's like 3 o'clock. There's still sun out there. And I just think that is such a huge, for the whatever sunlight we actually get in Pittsburgh. So, not your fault.
I think it's really important how space impacts people in the way they learn, in the way they relate to the world, and all of those things. And it's, architects are the best suited for knowing exactly how to do that. And I thought the library was well designed when we first had it designed, but I think it's time for improvements. One other thing I wanted to say about when you see it at nighttime, I want it to be a lantern. I want everyone in the community to see it as a lantern of learning. Here it is, lit up. This is the center of our community. We're here to learn. Now I'm gonna shut up, I promise.
Also, I was excited because when I marched in the parade and I was like, looked up and saw, oh, there's Draw Collective. It's like, I saw it, I think when we were walking to the thing, so that was also exciting.
It really is. I just love that building.
I'm assuming we already know that utility lines are good for the bathrooms being moved. Like as far as
So
water.
one of the other things we need to do is, yes, we'd have to reroute, basically connecting the existing lines over to that location, and one of the things we need
Okay,
to,
so it is gonna require work.
which is gonna require work, and I was gonna say, one of the things we owe you guys, part of our final scope is like a cost of what all this is, and you own it, like a lot of what you're seeing is kind of finishes and moving shelving around that core of the building where those bathrooms would be, where the offices are, that's getting fully rearranged, so there is a lot of cost in that area, moving those bathrooms over, but the current bathrooms, especially those ones, the adult bathrooms back by the courtyard, they would have to be fairly significantly reconfigured even in that same spot to make them accessible and big enough. You're gonna have to move one fixture or the other to kind of get those rooms big enough. So it's not, it would cost more to move them over there, but it's not like free to just kind of rearrange them where they are.
Well, in bathroom and ADA accessibility, we can apply for a Keystone grant through the state, which is matching funds up to $750,000. So that could be a significant chunk if we time this correctly, which has always been part of our plan.
And it's also important to note that we are essentially a government entity, and having ADA accessible is just, I think, really extremely important. And it kicks in after we spend certain dollar amounts. So got to go for it.
Would the library be able to stay open during these renovations?
It's funny, while Amy was going through that, I was looking at that, trying to think through how we would do that, because it is tricky. I think there are some ways we'd have to be very careful.
Yeah, we were hoping, and I think you were hoping too, like, we could just, do one part of the library and do the next part, and they could kind of share space for a bit, but, what we did was sort of redo that spine that is kind of on an angle. So it will be challenging, but I definitely think that it can be done, and it'll probably be done in like a bunch of small phases where, one area is completed, we have one area blocked off, and then they get that part done, and there might be a little bit of uncomfortableness of moving the circulation desk a little bit, but we would work through that and make sure that, all the accessible emergency routes, all of that stuff, but.
And we have some experience, not to this extent, with moving our circulation service points as we did during the COVID closure, and
Oh,
we
we
had
came
certain
up with all
entrances
kinds of
opening,
stuff.
and we had to, sort of serve patrons in different ways from different points throughout the library. So I think there's, a ways,
Yeah.
there's some
We're gonna
ways
do
that we can
things
figure
like-
out how to.
Leave the old bathrooms open while we make the new ones,
Right.
there's gonna have to be some kind of interim things like that won't let you do everything.
And when we did
But in
the,
downstairs will not be touched. So these bathrooms will always be available,
That's
this
true.
entrance, the space.
and when we did the learning lab renovation, which was our latest one, they did a lot of temporary drywall
Right.
where patrons, it's not finished, but it really, they're
Yeah,
not
we
in the construction
seal it off.
space while
Yeah.
things are happening,
Right.
that type of thing. And so that worked pretty well.
If any group of people can come up with workarounds, it's librarian.
Thank you.
Seriously.
So,
Kristen's one herself.
so what's the next step on Mount Lebanon side? Like, will the commission have to vote and approve a final design, or we've already earmarked the money, so that's more the library's purview, or what are the next steps on our
So
end?
while most of the funding is going to be donated funds and grants and things like that, we do have to go through the municipal,
Bidding
We're-
process.
the bidding process for the job,
Okay.
which we did for the makerspace. So we have to put it out for bid, people will, and that they'll determine which contractor we work with and all that kind of thing. We don't really have any say in that whatsoever. They have a process that they go through. We've already presented once to the commission this year, and we will keep them in the loop as we keep you in the loop as this goes along, and anything, that you need, Anne, or that you want us to do, we're happy to do.
No,
But
We have great faith in the architects. That's huge. We think they're a really good firm and are going to do a great job for us. Obviously, and they know this, you have to be up to code. And Rodney is a real stickler for code because by golly, he almost has that book memorized, even if it's that thick. It's pretty amazing. But you already know that. I mean, that you do this every single day. So, yes, we do have to put it out for bid. That is really state law and federal law that it goes out for bid. But, you know, we will keep Draw Collective in the process the whole way. We've done it so many times and we do it all the time that I think it's reasonably seamless for us to do. So. And we are replacing the fence at the top of the courtyard, which needs to be replaced. I shouldn't have promised that yet because we haven't passed the budget yet. But it was definitely one that everyone was like, oh my golly, just fix it. You know, let's do it. So I think it'll survive any cuts that we might have is to make sure that gets fixed. So I don't foresee any problems at all. I really don't. Draw Collective knows exactly what they're doing. They know how to work with us. They have worked with us in the past. I think it'll be as seamless as it can be, understanding that any construction project of this magnitude is just disruptive.
Robin, you said that the downstairs isn't gonna be touched, so the downstairs bathrooms aren't gonna be brought up to,
they're not part of this project.
okay.
They are, as far as I know, up to standards, like modern standards.
They're the best, yeah, they're the closest thing in the whole, I haven't exactly the level of details in the code, but yeah, they're the best bathrooms in the whole building, in terms of
Okay,
the access and the space and the clearance.
so which ones were you talking about where you said the circling was too tight? or
The-
interesting?
The two back against the courtyard
Okay.
are the ones that are narrow and the sink is kind of over that area.
And the
Okay.
children's.
Yeah,
Yeah, they're very tight as well.
yeah, basically all the upstairs
Do-
ones.
Do we foresee another presentation like this to this board once we have 3D, a 3D model and some of those more design elements? Are we gonna get this again or?
I can't remember how many we agreed to in the contract.
I don't know, I think we'd be happy to come back, Bill.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be great. Yeah, we
Yeah.
definitely want to show you guys and it's always nice to show them and.
Yeah, I mean, our current agreement is basically kind of set up to be prepped to get you guys to a project, so we would have the cost, we'd have renderings of stuff. And you guys can take that out to the world and like, it's, get it rolling, so.
Yeah, and we, once things are starting to move along a little faster now, we can start giving more regular updates.
Okay.
But it's been a lot of prep work.
That's a lot of.
No, a BIM model is a 3D model. It's just done on a computer. When they were saying BIM models, that's what that is. It's a 3D model done on the computer. It is state of the art. It's the way to do it.
Okay. Any other questions for Draw Collective from anyone?
Just a very quick one from me, and I apologize to the two of you for not being there tonight. The study desks that are on this side, that look at, if you look out the window, you're looking at the church across the street. What is the plan for those? There are like 4 or 5 study tables there.
Ones that are built in, kind of.
Yeah, he means-
Yeah, the ones that are built in, correct.
Those are staying, the ones that are on the nonfiction side across from Mellon.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yes, and the windows are staying.
Yes,
Yeah.
we were planning on leaving those. I look.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, everybody does.
Yeah.
They're a favorite of mine as well, so I confess there was a slight bias in that question.
Hard not to like.
All right, well, thank you so much for the
Thank
presentation.
you.
Thank you all.
That was
The
really
work
great.
is fantastic, and we really appreciate you guys coming.
Thank you, Jeremy, for being here. We
Yeah, no
appreciate it. Jeremy is an integral part of this project and is the direct liaison between Draw and the library. So he's the answer man when it comes to.
Walk safe
It's been a
if
great
you're
project.
walking back.
We will.
Yeah.
That was so fun. That was exciting. Thank you.
It was nice to meet you.
Okay. Comments from the Friends of the Library. Susan?
Yeah, so, Lovely Library was in September, and, I'm trying to figure out what I've written down here. We brought in 296 new members. I could be off a couple because the papers that I had those meticulously written down on are at home, so this is from memory. And the 296 plus what we had before brings us up to over 1,000 members now, and that's the highest we have ever had. I mean,
Fantastic.
I'm hearing myself say it, but it's really amazing. In 2000, before COVID, we were at 996, and David said, "Can you believe?" And I said, "Don't even say it." Because it's like, we don't want to jinx it. And then it was shortly after that that COVID came, and
jinxed everything.
and it really did. It changed a lot of things. But I think the lowest we were, there was like 680, 720. So it was never time to get frantic, but you really had to pay attention because you couldn't let anything slip away. So now we're over 1,000, and happy about it, but you know, you have to keep paying attention to it. I believe we made about $11,000 in donations and membership during that time. And I think ballparking is as accurate as you're gonna get. So we felt we did really well working on that, again, because we have a lot of new people. Everybody's on their own drumbeat, but I think everybody really worked hard together. That does not include either the bookshop here or the online shop. That I'd have to guess what September was, probably about 6,000 at the bookshop and about maybe 600 online. Both really.
Well, it would have been more
Great.
because the mom sale went through the online shop, and that was in September.
Yeah. Well, golly, let me think about that.
That was
But
about
yeah, we were,
2,000.
let's just go with 6,000 because we wouldn't be off too terribly much. So another plus we've had happen is somebody in the community is managing her mother's foundation, and they selected the Friends of the Library to be the beneficiary. So not only today, but ongoing. So we did get our first check this year. I don't know if it's tacky to mention the number, but it was $9,000. So that's a lot of money to sit and count to. So
They're a really sweet young couple, and the girl, the woman grew up here and
Yeah.
used the library as a teenager, so
right,
she's giving
really
back.
definitely connected. So
Is it a public foundation? Can we know the name?
It's a family
it's a
foundation.
family foundation. If you look it up, based on what she said, you wouldn't find it, but let me see if I have it here. Paul D, Schurgot. And I think their offices are in New York or something. She's here, but I think the return address was in New York. But, you know, it's a small foundation, but we're certainly fortunate. And I think that might be all that's new. Thank you.
I have a question. How soon do you have to get to the library and Love Your Library Month to get the sign for your yard? Because I missed those. Does the Friends do that, or does the
No,
library?
the library does that, but Marina usually has a stack of them at the top.
They were gone.
Yeah.
Which was great. I was like excited to hear that, but I was like, next year I need to get
Yeah,
there.
make a note and,
Soon. Yeah.
yeah, because we usually get them sometime in August, so I
Okay.
probably wouldn't have them for you for the July meeting, but if you
Good
just,
to know.
Just stop
yeah,
by.
as soon
Yeah.
as we start mentioning Love Your Library Month, just let Marina know and she'll
Okay.
save you one.
Yeah, I got mine at the one on Green Tree, that at Carnegie Library, that one room Carnegie Library on Green Tree or Wabash.
Oh.
It's a really cute library.
The West End Library?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
I've never
a
been
really neat
there.
old library.
yeah.
They have little, instead of step stools, well, they have step stools, but they have little brass like steps that you can step up to reach up to
Oh,
a higher
that's
shelf.
cute.
Yeah, it's really neat. That's an old wood.
If you've never been to the Carnegie and Carnegie too, that library looks like what you think of.
Yeah, it's really neat.
School library is gonna look like. It's really cool. They have like is it Civil War room?
Yeah,
or-
room, yeah.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Okay, thank you, Susan.
Mhm.
Up next is comments from our commission liaison. So Anne, you're on the clock.
Thanks, guys. This is budget month in the commission world. We've already met twice for 2 budget workshops. We have 2 more to go. We're doing fine as a municipality. I have to say that we are well resourced and we're very well managed. So we are meeting the needs of the community, and now it's more about wants. And you know, there's never in the world, there's never enough money for all the wants, but there's money for some of the wants. So it's down to picking what some of those wants are. And we base what we choose on our comprehensive plan, over which we had over 6,000 points of contact with the public. And so we have a pretty good feel for what the public wants, which is in many parts walkability, safety, things of that nature. So our, I guess I would say what we're pushing for more than anything is more sidewalks, more safety. We added last year in the summer, we added a social worker to our police force because we have, like many communities, mental health issues here in Mount Lebanon, where this person would follow a policeman. So the police would come for any emergency call, but any kind of wraparound service, which is often needed. Think about somebody who like hoards, something like that. A wraparound service social worker is very, we think, essential and adds to the livability of Mount Lebanon. So we added that person. And we're chugging along. December 10th is the final public budget hearing. If you would like to come speak. Robin was well received. We all love the library. So I don't think there really are any problems there at all. But if you want to see how the sauce is made, Robin has copies of the proposed manager's budget at the library. And then the commission sometimes goes above or below what the manager is asking for or thinking should be included in the budget, and includes other things. And it's kind of that negotiation back and forth between commissioners. You know, we really need a sidewalk here, or we really need to do a road there. That kind of dynamic, I guess, would be the best word for it. But we are deep into that, and believe me, having 3-hour meetings, we're headed for our 3rd 3-hour meeting next Monday night. So any questions, concerns, thoughts? Happy to answer.
I just
No
mentioned,
question.
Oh.
Go ahead. You go first, Anthony.
I was just gonna say, if you've seen the Mount Lebanon magazine this month, there's a story about the new social worker in there.
Yes.
And then Anne also has the commissioner's column. So I agreed with what you wrote, by the way. So it's a good thing.
Well, you know, it's funny because I oftentimes people show up at commission meetings, and one of the complaints we get is, well, we didn't know about this.
Mhm.
And I'm sitting there saying, well, it was in the magazine. We put it out this way, put it out there, and we put it out like 6 or 7 different ways. And I'm
Mhm.
like, okay, you're a citizen. All of us have to accept responsibility to know at least a minimum of what's going on.
Mhm.
I'm not worried about you guys on the library board. I mean, obviously, you know, you're here because you care about learning and understanding what's going on, but you'd be surprised at some of the questions I get. But more accusations of why why didn't you tell us about this? And I'm thinking, I tell you about it. You know, why aren't you paying attention? What the heck? What else do we have to do? Which does not mean that if you ever have a suggestion for a way we should put things out, a
Mhm.
different way that would reach more people, please bring it on. We want to hear it because that's
Mhm.
what we're all about, is making sure we're transparent and you can see how the sausage is made, as I like to say.
And that actually ties into my question, which is, I was gonna ask, is there going to be a method for sort of identifying things that are gonna happen, projects that the municipality is gonna take on in the next year or two, that stem directly from that comprehensive plan and the feedback you got from the residents? And not just a
Yes.
matter of, not just limited to like, well, we need sidewalks to be improved, but very specific improvements or projects that sprung from that are being undertaken. Is there a way that's gonna be communicated back to the community to say, you guys recommended this, these are the 8 things we're doing, or how, whatever the
So-
number.
That is in our capital budget. And a couple of years ago, we added a designation to anything that's in the capital budget that shows exactly how it ties back to the comprehensive plan. So I'm going to make something up just for the sake of it. But if you said to me, we need, I always focus on sidewalks. What else could I focus on? We need, I know, trying to think of something. We need a new soccer field in Bird Park, which is not something anybody's requested, but we need a new soccer field in Bird Park. And we would put it in our capital budget to be funded in the next few years. And you would see a designation that said this came directly from the comprehensive plan. So the capital budget has to be to the commission in August. And it's one that very few citizens ever comment on, and it's really vitally important. I mean, it really is the plan for what we're going to fund in the future. And oftentimes those things have to be funded through a bond issue. So it's, it's the community taking on debt to fund something, which is not unusual, and it is the way things are done. But I think, as citizens, you might want to make sure your eyes are on those capital budget items. Because we
And
transfer.
all of that information is available at our reference desk. We always have the most up-to-date
Right.
information from the municipality available for anyone.
Yep.
Okay, is that all in?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to my report, just a couple of small things. I wanted to thank Holiday and Kristen for joining me in marching in the Halloween parade with Robin and her staff. So thanks to both of you. We had a lot of fun. That parade moves way faster than I thought it was going to.
Thank God.
I'm busy passing out candy and I look up and there's like, I know, like the library staff is a block down the street. I'm like,
You're all too nice. I mean, you will try to give each
Yes.
kid,
So
but you just have to
fun.
kind of like,
listen, I started out giving like
Yes.
multiple pieces of candy and later on it was like, all right, then I was doing lotteries, like out of you
Yeah.
5, you get candy.
yeah, we've never yet made it to the end and had candy left over. Like it's
And it
never
seems like an
happened.
absurd amount of candy when you
Oh,
get started.
Yeah, the amount of money I spend on candy is ridiculous. And I buy the candy that nobody actually, it's not chocolate. It's not
Yeah.
even Tootsie Rolls. It's like hard cake, because I'm so worried about allergies and that kind of thing. So I just get the sugar, pure sugar.
Are you passing out those darn circus peanut things?
Oh, gosh, no, I'm not that.
No.
It,
It was like
mean.
Jolly Ranchers and.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
That works. Yeah.
it was
Smarties.
very good candy. There just wasn't enough of it. And you're right, I'm gonna have to like lose 10 pounds
Right?
before I come next
Right?
year just to keep up.
Right?
Just do the
Anyway,
parade route every day.
I
for a
was
month.
glad the board had a presence, so thank you both for
Yes.
coming. Even though she's not here, I also wanted to officially thank Monica for her service, so it could be recorded for posterity in the video. As well as get some clarification on that, because I was under the impression she actually might still be on the board and at this meeting, but I also know we're actively looking. So do we have her
Everything
official
moved.
resignation at this point?
Yes,
Okay.
everything moved very quickly
Okay,
there at the end. She, as you all know, she accepted a position at the beginning of the school year as the library director at the Sewickley Academy, which is a school. And ultimately, she and her family decided to move to Sewickley, and I think their house sold very quickly, as it does here.
Yeah,
So, yeah, as far as I know, she is no longer, once you're no longer a resident, you're no longer able to serve on the board, like effective immediately.
okay.
So the process is that commission has received, oh my gosh, I didn't look this up ahead of time, so please don't quote me, but anywhere between 8 to 10 applications for the position. We have asked Robin, and maybe you, Anthony, somebody. I can't rem- Yeah. It's just for your opinions of the type of talent that you're seeking for the board. That will all be taken under consideration and decided at an upcoming commission meeting. Since we only have 2 more this year, I think confidently say it'll be decided before year end. And we'll let you know who the person is that we're appointing to the library board.
And just to clarify, Bob and I were asked for kind of advice, but we
Yeah.
do not any say whatsoever in selecting.
No,
new-
you were asked for
Neither
kind
of
of,
us have been hesitant about giving advice,
no,
but
but I mean, what we
we're
do
out
want
of
to
it.
know sort of,
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's important when you look at a board, what are the skill sets that you're missing?
Mhm,
And that's what we asked you for. I think that's a legitimate thing to ask
mhm.
that are already on the board. I mean,
Yes.
you know,
Anyway, I definitely put in my 2 cents. We don't meet in December, is that correct, or is that?
Correct.
Okay, so the main thing this will affect us is we'll have to figure out subcommittees again. And we'll worry about it, we'll worry about that at the beginning of the year when the new people come on, when the new person comes on board, since we don't meet in December. As usual, Susan can attest to this, because it happened to her the new person goes where I tell them to go. So they won't get much of a say in it, but the rest of us will work out how we may or may not shift around to
and
accommodate.
thank you for being a good sport, Susan.
Yeah.
Bob's cabinet, right?
And yeah, we'll do that. I mean, it's okay to do that after the holidays, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, we don't have a person yet, so until
Yeah.
we know what that person's strengths
Right.
are and, you know, where we need. Yeah,
I specifically asked for fundraising experience, so we'll see if that's.
well, and Marcia will be rolling off in
Yeah, we talked
think
about accounting
March,
experience
so we
too,
need someone
so.
with some financial chops.
Yeah,
And
coming on
after
board.
Susan's report, I'm not sure how much fundraising you need. I mean, good gracious. Congratulations, fabulous.
I've never worked with a Friends board like this before. It's
I know.
absolutely.
It's amazing, isn't it? Ugh. Just
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Ann. I was reading my own notes. The only other thing I have is that Ella, my younger daughter, is back to volunteering and accruing her hours for National Honor Society here. So thank your teen librarian for that program and keeping my kid out of trouble every other Wednesday. Okay, that's all I have. We can move on to Robin's director's report.
Okay, I give you a lot of documents because the September and October reports are here. As always, I'm not going to read from them per se. It's more for posterity that we give you these reports so that you know what's gone on. And then 20 years from now, when we're looking back through our notes, we can see what kind of programs we were doing and that sort of thing. As far as my report, first of all, I would like to give you all of you that are in the room, a gift of a new library pen, because we actually got good pens for once. So I want to make sure everybody has one, because they're really nice. And
I have one of my old ones, so I can compare and contrast. Oh,
yeah, I think that's a sample pen. I don't even know where you picked that up, Bob.
I'm always stealing pens.
I don't think we ever actually bought them.
This is
This is
very
fancy.
nice.
Yes, they're very nice pens.
I
So
love a
Anne and
fancy
Anthony,
pen.
the next time you're in, make sure you ask and I'll get you a pen.
President gets 2 of these, is that how that works?
If you want to, you're just gonna lose one anyways. The ones I'll
Power is
take-
going to his head, guys. Power is going to his head.
They all get like that near, yeah, as they go on.
Mhm.
Okay.
Thank you, Robin.
Yeah, MA wanted me to make sure that you all got pens and they are really nice, so. So Anne mentioned the new social worker for MLPD, Jackie Stilson is her name. She is really cool, very practical. very dynamic as far as she's got a lot of great ideas. She's ready to go, hit the ground running. And she will be doing some regular office hours here at the library for the citizens of Mount Lebanon, for the residents. So if somebody, you know, sometimes you need help filling out forms or finding housing or, you know, all the kind of things that social workers do. And not a lot of people have easy access to that resource. So we're going to be able to offer that to the people of the municipality, which we're all really excited about. So we currently work with like the Career Development Center, and they meet every week with their clients one-on-one in a study space or in a meeting room, and it's gonna be that same kind of thing. So we're looking forward to that. Susan mentioned Yola Book Club, which is our holiday event this weekend. My staff have done so much work. The friends have done so much work. They've been working on this for quite a while. There's going to be a coffee truck selling like coffee and cocoa.
Let me
and
tell you,
snacks.
you better be ready because the roaming bean has a following and sometimes you have to stand in line for 2 hours to get their coffee. And when I saw they were coming, I gasped excitedly.
Do you want me to give you a
Out
board
loud.
member?
Yes, a
Because
cut
I've
and
got-
cut in line,
Yeah.
but no,
Well, I've
I,
got these that say
when-
board member. I'll give
yes,
you one, and you
when
can
I saw they were
backstage
coming, I was
pass
like,
it.
I'm sorry, we are elite now. This is, the roaming bean is no joke.
That's Sharon Brody
What,
for you. If
I
it was
am-
me, it would be, you know, a Keurig on a folding
It,
table. but-
I was like, we are the real deal. This is, people
We've
will come to
arrived.
this event just for them.
Robin, what are the hours for it?
That's good.
It's
Yes, I
10
was
to,
so excited.
I think technically 10 to 4, but we kind of start closing up in that last hour as things slow down and stuff is sold and people are trickling out. So yeah, starts at 10 a.m., live music, activities for the kids. Wonderful holiday book sale where I spend way too much money and
Even more amazing this year, I am really truly, I use the word jaw dropping, maybe when I shouldn't, but really truly, what I have seen for
we have,
this.
like, what is it,
like-
model ships or something that you
I wanna
have?
show you some of them.
It's a great
It's
event.
yeah.
I went
Yeah,
last year.
I'm planning on coming down. I've been to a couple of them. It's good.
Yeah,
I
If
got
any- if
like-
anyone here has never been, you should come.
Yeah.
and there are gonna be local artists as well. That's what the tents are for. They'll be out on the lawn near the coffee truck. So it'll be very handy. You
I-
can browse as you wait.
It's gonna be so good. I'm so excited.
Is the pretzel person gonna have? I know
We're
the truck's not
actually-
here, but the
yeah,
pretzels
so
are gonna be
The
here.
library traditionally uses room B, and we sell some, you know, swag and stuff like that in here for the library. And we're not doing all the cocoa and everything like that. That's gonna be the coffee truck, who they are giving us a donation. But we are doing like a soft pretzel kind of a fundraiser from that place in Bridgeville. I can't remember the name of it.
I think Philadelphia.
Philly Pretzel Factory. It's a huge hit. When I used to bring them to the law students, kids came out of the woodwork for pretzels, so.
Right,
this is
so
very
good. I'm glad. I'm glad. You're like really.
Robin, what help do you need from us on Saturday?
Spread the word for one thing.
Okay,
You show up, you know, make sure you introduce yourselves to people as a board member, just help, you know, spread holiday cheer, spend a little money, and just, the staff loves it when you all come to events, and they know the board is here, the board is paying
Okay.
attention.
okay.
They're gonna know Kristen's here because she's gonna have the badge like pushing people out of the way.
I know, really.
The
She's gonna show up with like the industrial size coffee mug, you know?
And they get, the coffee's like literally like this big and the new holiday menu just came out.
Wow, you're like a groupie.
I am.
Yes.
It's so good.
I've never seen Kristen so excited.
I am so excited. But also last year, my nephew is a 13-year-old. I bought him these like books about the Steelers last year for Christmas, and like, who wants their weird aunt giving them, you know, he loved them.
They've
So
got
you
a
can
display.
get really cool
Mhm.
things at so
They have
yeah.
a black and gold display right now and they've
Oh,
got a
really?
signed Rocky Flyer book. So
Mhm.
He loved it.
Okay, let's see what else. I'm mostly working on end of year stuff. Keith is going to be asking for our, 2024 accomplishments, 2025 goals. I always share those with you at the January meeting, so I'll be doing that. We're still working on the strategic plan. I don't have anything for you yet. We're basically trying to make it so that all of the specifics are back end, and that what the public sees is more of just general, like,
Mhm.
so it supports the mission statement without saying by this date, we're gonna do these 3 things, you know. So we're still working on that. Hopefully I'll have it for you by January, maybe February, because to be honest, the holidays, you know, it's so hard to get people to work on things. My time is going to start being eaten even more by my commitments to the Pennsylvania Library Association. I'm in my 1-year term as chair of the Allegheny County Library Association, but I am now the chair of the upcoming 2025 conference, which will be held in Erie in October of 2025. And it's going to be a lot of work, a lot of meetings. And they basically told me I'm not allowed to be on any other of my committees for the state, several for the Pennsylvania Library Association. And they basically kicked me off all of the other ones because this takes up time. So just wanted to make you all aware of that. It's going to be a great conference. It's exciting, but yeah, it's a bit of a time suck. And let's see what else. The ACLA RAD update. So we have been told to expect a 3.5% increase from the regional asset district, which is slightly more than we had anticipated. They are going to be meeting tomorrow downtown at the Coppers Building to finalize their budget. That's their final board meeting of the year. So I'm going to be attending that meeting. And if anything crazy happens and they change their minds, you know, I'll let you know, but I don't anticipate anything like that. The ACLA is working on their strategic plan. They have to do it every 5 years, I think. So that's in the works. I'll get you a copy when it's all finalized. And let's see, there's nothing really big going on with the EI network computer systems or anything like that. So all that stuff is pretty good. As far, the only other thing I had in my director's report is the, I always have my staff write reports about their experiences at conferences. So 2 of our staff went to the conference besides myself this year. That was Ginny Husak and Dana Jones. They're both part-time children's librarians. And so their reports are included at the end of the report. So that's all I had under my report, director's report. Does anybody have any questions about anything?
I was excited you got to meet, did he say his name, Michael?
Michael Threets, yes.
Yeah, I was excited everyone got to meet him and jealous. Also a groupie of him.
It was, you know, it was a wonderful serendipitous thing because I am the chair of the WQED Community Advisory Board. And since Michael was named PBS's librarian in residence, I was able to convince WQED and Pennsylvania PBS stations to be a sponsor for his keynote. So that was a great connection. They had a booth at the conference. They were there the whole week. They had a great time and they're planning next year. So it all ties together. But
congratulations.
Yeah, that's great.
That's
yes.
great.
And I got to meet Michael. And he is just as nice as he
you
acts. Like,
hope he will be.
I mean,
Yeah.
he might be, you know, go back to his room and be
Yeah.
raging and throwing pillows or something. I don't know, but he seems just like such a sweet young man.
Okay, any other questions for Robin? Thank you, Robin. Moving on to committee reports. I see the finance committee on here, but Marcia is not here. Can you
Marcia
update
is
us?
Not here. Yes, I can. So we had our budget workshop on November 6th. We went the first evening and Marcia accompanied me. So when they talk about the manager's recommended budget, you all approved these service levels in July. And we are usually at level 3, which is just fully staffed and running the library at full bore. We added a 4th service level request for extra funds for e-resources, because as you know, our e-resources funds every year increase, and I have to look up the numbers, but so our e-resources circulation increased by 3.5%, but the cost of our part of the e-resources contribution to the county rose by 18% between this year and next year. So we just asked for that difference. And Marcia is brilliant, as we all know, and she said in the meeting, since RAD is giving us an extra amount of money from the 3.5%, which works out to about $11,000 or $12,000, can we just use that towards the 4th level extra e-resources appropriation, and the the municipality can chip in the extra $6,800 or whatever it is to get us to that 17,000 additional dollars. And that way we don't have to take money away from our physical collection funds, which are also, our circulation there is raising too, which is very unusual. Most public libraries are not seeing that happen. So that's down to our amazing staff and their work in the collection management and the displays and programming. So they're doing an amazing job, and it really shows in the numbers for our circulation. So the commission seemed positive. As Ann said, nothing is set in stone yet. They haven't approved the budget, but they seemed amenable to the idea, and it's definitely going to be discussed. So I won't put you on the spot and ask you to.
No, I mean, I can't tell you what the other commissioners will do, but I can tell you, when you're talking about a budget of upwards of $60 million, $6,800 is kind of peanuts. And I don't mean to make light of it, because I do understand for us as individuals, 6,800 certainly is not peanuts, but it in terms of a municipal budget, it's pretty small. So it immediately got moved above the line. And what that means is, you know, the manager has given us a recommended budget, and then we move certain things above the line to be reconsidered as we're looking more and more at our finances. The reason I bring this up is the manager comes up with his recommended budget in July. So we still have many months of collecting earned income tax, which is a large part of the money that we have. Real estate taxes come in July, but earned income tax and some other things come in later. And so we oftentimes have a little room in our budget to move things above the line, as we like to say, which means it goes above what the manager recommended. And yes, we can actually afford it. So that went above the line. We haven't voted on those things, but $1,600? Yeah, my bet would be it's a pretty good one.
And Ann, again, you
No
said,
promises, but you know, it looked positive.
and you said the budget has to be approved by the end of the year, correct? Is that what you said?
Yeah,
earlier?
the budget, our final public hearing is on December 10th. If you would like to come testify, the commission certainly hears what people have to say. You can also just write a letter in and say, and you can direct it to me, we'd really like to see this approved. This $6,800 would make a big difference in our ability to offer more services to the citizens of the municipality. And those things are all considered. You should never, ever think that commissioners don't listen to what the public says. They really do listen. Do they always do what the public wants? Not necessarily, not always, and for a variety of reasons. Sometimes we can't. But something like this, it's worth dropping me an email and saying, we really want this, and I pass it on to the commission.
Thank you very much. And thank you for your support during the meeting. She had a lot of wonderful things to say about the library. It was lovely.
Okay.
So that's all I had for that. I just wanted to make sure that you all knew what Marcia and I talked to the commission about and where we were at with that. You know, our state funding is flat going into 2025, but the RAD is, you know, planning that 3.5% increase, and the municipality are great about covering our additional costs for staffing and that sort of thing. So, and we work on the budget with Andrew McCreary, the finance director, and he makes sure that we are taking everything into consideration and getting what we need to run the library.
This is also a good example of the important position and work that Marcia does on this board, and her term expires when?
In the end of March.
So it's gonna be important that either someone here right now or the new person who comes on board, that we find someone who's a really good fit
Well, and
for.
Marcia was in the finance and HR director positions at the municipality before she retired. So literally, there are like 3 people on this earth that know this job and this library and this community as well as she does, as far as, you know, the finance part. So we're not going to find another Marcia, is my point.
Yeah,
But
But
we
even
will
though
find
she's
someone-
retiring, I know she loves the library, huge interest of hers. So whoever goes into Marcia's position, you can always call Marcia. I mean, I have her on speed dial. Just call her and say, all right, what's your advice on this? And Marcia will give it to you, because Marcia is a straight shooter. She knows her stuff. She does understand the municipality and the funding, and she's just, she'll be an ongoing committed resource, I think. Just not official.
Okay, do we have any other old business?
I couldn't think of anything for
Okay,
the agenda.
do we have any other new business from any board members?
I'll just mention very quickly, Marina sent a note. I think it was just to Robin and me, but it may have been a few others, that she is already knee deep in trying to identify gardens for next January. And she is sending out, and probably already has, notes to folks at least 6 different homes. As all of you know, 6 is sort of our minimum. 7 is a real sweet spot if we can get that 7th. So as always, if you know somebody who is a gardener, or you yourself, and want to be part of that, either let her or me know. And because June 22nd will be here in like 6 minutes.
Yeah, seriously.
This board never gets breaks for garden tour.
No. garden
Yeah.
tour is-
Never.
garden
It
tour is
shouldn't be a line
perennial.
item in the agenda, it just never leaves.
It's it.
Okay, anyone else, anything else from anyone? Thank you all for attending. Robin, you can stop recording. We will officially adjourn this meeting.
8:18 PM.
We will do our advocacy moment for anyone who wants to stay and take part. Folks that are online, I think Ann already voted.